What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Excited to bring you some more F1 22 content. Big thanks to Codemasters and EA for giving me this opportunity to get you early game footage and showcase some of the new changes to this game, including the Supercars, which has drift, autocross, average speed zone, and rival duel across several tracks with different supercars that you get to try out. You get to select your difficulty. Here we're going to go for hard because why not? And later on in the video we'll also be covering customization, so there will be a timestamp in the description, or you'll be able to click it on the screen if you want to navigate to there. But away we go for the first experience, drifting this Ferrari around Brazil. And as you can see, you got to try and clock as many points as possible while going sideways, and the target objectives are in the top right hand corner of the screen. If you get 5.5 thousand points, that's enough to get you bronze, and upwards of silver and gold being at 11,000 points, which honestly I am struggling to even get bronze. The other events are a bit easier to complete the goals on, but these drifting events seem to be a lot harder to meet the target goal compared to, for example, the rival duel or the autocross or the average speed zone. Although it is a lot more fun, in my opinion, I think this is probably the most entertaining event. If you're going to get into supercars, why not drag them sideways? If you're wondering what the handling model is like, it's probably just a more easier, simplified version of what Gran Turismo has to offer for the drifting experience on their game, like Gran Turismo 7, Gran Turismo Sport. And as far as my understanding goes, you can use these cars in these Pirelli Hot Lap events or in time trial, but you can't use them to race each other online. What you can do though is when you purchase them using a token that you can collect by accumulating time mileage on the game, other targets of course, you can put them in your F1 Life home and you can select the bay that you wish to display them in as well. This is my first time driving the Ferrari. Each supercar has a different handling model, so the characteristics of this car feels pretty balanced. The Aston Martins feel a bit more slow and sluggish. The AMGs felt like they had a bit more torque and it was easier to control or slide with. One of the McLarens was really nice to drive, but this Artura felt a bit heavy in the rear. It was a bit more difficult to control the slide, but I got used to it after a while. It wasn't too difficult. I probably preferred this over the Aston Martins, to be honest. And as you can see, we're here in the USA doing another drifting event. There is in fact a fair few changes across multiple of the tracks, so if you'd like to go check out the complete list of changes that haven't been seen yet, I'm making a video on that, so be sure to check that out. Each of the supercars does actually have interior, so that means you can race in cockpit cam. You can also use far chase cam and a few others that I'll be switching between later on in the video. And one thing to note is that the supercars are not hidden behind a paywall. You will have to get the Champions Edition if you do wish to get the two safety cars, being the Aston Martin and the AMG safety car that you see in real life. But if you just want to unlock these supercars apart from that yourself, you do not need to pay for them in game, and you can just collect them by accumulating miles on the game, like I said earlier. So what other news do I have for you about this game? Well, there's a brand new track list of music similar to the music they'd use in FIFA. I've currently got it set to the game theme because of embargo reasons. We're not allowed to release what songs are in that track list yet. But yeah, EA music is in the game, and that'll be probably the default setting that you get in the game as soon as you boot it up. But if you're a streamer or a YouTuber like myself and you don't want to get copyright from the EA music, you can always turn it off and go back to the theme that you're currently hearing whenever I go into the menu. And next up we have the rival duel. We're driving the Ferrari once again, but this time at Monza. There's not a whole heap of changes to this track, as you can see so far from the gameplay, but our objective is to, of course, beat the other car, which is driven by Tremblay. And here's one of the F1 Live AI that will just join you when you're sitting on the couch, just in the background. And this event in particular was a lot easier than some of the other events like the drifting. All you have to do is beat the other car 3 times in a row, and if you get 1 win, you'll get bronze. 2 wins equals silver, and of course if you win all 3 rounds, you'll get gold. And we managed to get gold. I actually slowed down in one of these races because I just wanted to see if I could get this AI to make a mistake and crash, or basically just take him out myself. So this is the 3rd round, and I just wanted to have a bit of fun with it and see if I could make him make a mistake. Also, one thing to note is that when you start each round, sometimes he'll start in front of you and other times you'll start in front of your competitor. And here's where I was just trying to mess around with the AI. The Tifosi are probably going to kill me for doing this. Yeah, I just tried to take him out, but he actually kept the car under control after, you know, trying to spinning him out. He just manages to keep it on the track after all that. I almost spin it myself. Anyways, moving on to Checkpoint Challenge. You can find these challenges all in the Pirelli Hot Laps, but you'll also encounter them as you go through career mode, and you'll be able to tackle these Pirelli Hot Laps, I think, before qualifying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how you'll encounter them as you go through your career mode. Once again, Aston Martin is probably one of the more difficult ones to... I'm not actually trying to drift. It's just more fun to drift these cars. I think you shouldn't try to take it so seriously and have a bit of fun with these cars, because I think that's the whole purpose of driving these supercars around an F1 circuit, is to get them a bit sideways and muck about. You'll notice now that the curbs are also orange. They finally painted the curbs orange. They used to be red at the Dutch track, but Codemasters have updated it to mimic real life. And now I know what you're wondering. What happens if you drive the supercars into the pit lane? Well, I did it for you, and basically in this instance, because we're playing Checkpoint Challenge, it just runs down the clock and you just get spat out the other side and nothing really happens. You just drive through the pit lane and that is it. You don't turn in or anything. It doesn't glitch. And if you actually cross over the white line like I did, you get a warning for it, but I don't think you can exactly get a penalty. So the next thing I wanted to test is what happens if you just drive directly into the wall. I wanted to know if there is any damage, and by the looks of it, it looks like there's absolutely no damage from what I can see and feel. There's no physical damage to handling either. I can still get warnings for exceeding track apparently, but luckily it's not my car that I'm driving anyway. Unfortunately, I'm not able to buy a supercar, so I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon like some other YouTubers. Anyways, next up is autocross, where you have to navigate between two cones into the gates. And if you miss the gate, you get a penalty that adds time to the end of your lap time. So try to avoid doing that. And if you hit the cones, you basically get a penalty, but it's not as severe as missing the gate completely. We managed to complete this round at Canada, driving the AMG. We got bronze for it, and for my audience, because I know you all want to see, here's me driving into all the cones at the one time. Pretty satisfying if you ask me. I did want to see what happens when you get all the cones, and it just adds a big time penalty to the end of your lap. As you can see, I hit like 29 cones, which probably means something different if I was playing another game, but we're playing a racing game. And next up, we have average speed zone. Now, in this Pirelli Hot Lap game mode, you have to maintain your speed above the target speeds. Yep, you guessed it. So the ones in the top right corner, if you want bronze, you have to get over 164 kilometers per hour. If you want silver, it's 168, and for gold, it's 173 kilometers per hour. And that seems a bit ridiculous for just a supercar in the wet. It's not an F1 car. If you go off the track, you get disqualified, but luckily, second time round, we actually do it correctly. This is actually a round of 3, so you've got to do it 3 times in a row. While I was at it, I thought I may as well use cockpit cam, so that way we can see the effect of the rain droplets going across the windscreen and the windscreen wipers. I wouldn't say it's as detailed as Gran Turismo, but a good effort nonetheless. And lastly, this final clip is me finally understanding how to drift. The earlier clips, I was only just beginning to drive these cars, so I didn't really have a clue how to drift at that point in time, but now I've kind of got a better understanding, and I think the AMG is also a bit easier to drift than some of the other cars. And as you can see, we're at Hungary, and I pull off this pretty consistent drift through that long swooping left-hander through the penultimate corner of the circuit, and we managed to chain that drift together with the final corner as well. And I gotta say, it's pretty fun, but most of my attention will still be on the F1 cars. Next up, I wanted to briefly go over career mode. They got some new graphics for the practice programs, as you'll see in the top center of the screen. Track acclimatization has some new gates. They're a bit more transparent, not as easy to see, it's not as distracting. There's also qualifying pace maps, and that just shows you your pace in comparison to the target lap time. As you can see, I definitely wasn't going fast enough then. So next up, I wanted to briefly go through character customization, because you are now able to dress your character up in the headwear, so you're allowed to put a hat on them from various brands like Sparko, EA kicker, and you can also put some sunglasses on them. As you can see, they have brands like Oakley and a few others, and this does not apply to your driver customization. So driver customization with the suits, the helmets, they're all different. Here's all the shirts, jackets, hoodies, that sort of thing that you can put on your character as well. There's like a pretty large selection actually, from like Alpha Industries, Antisocial, Social Club. There's some pants, you can wear jeans, tracksuits, even the tights from like Puma and Asics. I know I'd definitely be flaunting those pink EA tights or skins, whatever you want to call them. And then of course you can also change the sneakers to Asics, and there's also Sparko racing boots that you use if you want to go the full racing driver look. And yeah, that's gonna pretty much cover it for the character side of customization. But if you want to go into the driver side of customization, unfortunately you can't use the new paint finishes on your helmet. I thought a few of you might be wondering if you could use metallic or satin helmet finishes, but you can't. Most of the podium emotes and celebrations are similar to the ones that of last year. Same with the victory calls, they're pretty much the same ones from last year. You can customize your living area now that other people will visit online through F1 Life. You can customize your furniture, lighting, and the artworks in the background, as well as the flooring and the walls in the background. You can unlock these using the coins, whether you earn them or buy them from EA themselves. That's totally up to you what way you want to get the coins, but this is what people will be seeing when they enter your F1 Life lobby kind of area. So you can either pick them up from the item shop or complete them doing the podium pass. Most of the avatars are the same as last year. There's no new esports champion since Pogmir won again, so not a whole lot different in that aspect. Of course you can customize your avatar in the same way, choosing your driver number, and the badges and symbols are pretty much the same. Maybe a few more badges and symbols than last year, but otherwise there's not a whole lot different there. Here's the car customization. This is all what you've been waiting for. Unfortunately, there is no custom sponsorship. You can't create your own logo and put it on the car. However, you can select your paint finish. You can select from 4 different paint finishes, being satin, gloss, metallic, and matte. And in the background, you can see I'm probably trying to recreate the Vodafone McLaren livery from a few years back. Maybe you weren't watching the sport back then, but I personally love the McLaren Vodafone livery from like the 2011 kind of era. You can adjust this, and it doesn't take that much work. If you change it to like a light blue color and then change it to matte, you can actually replicate the Golf McLaren livery, the one-off special from Monaco, pretty easily. So if I just make this blue a little bit more faded, and then I change the orange to a brighter orange, and then have both of them in matte, it looks pretty close to what they had in Monaco. So if I can whip up those 2 designs and get pretty close results to what I see in real life, then I'm sure you guys will go nuts and get even better results with your creativity. Most of the locations that you can put your sponsors on are similar to last year. There might be a couple more. I'm not an expert in this area. I spent most of my time driving the team cars from real life instead of the multiplayer customizable cars online. But yeah, I really like the way that matte, metallic, and satin looks on the cars. If you pick white or silver with metallic, it looks like chrome. Here's all the supercars you can unlock using your supercar tokens. Honestly, if you want my opinion, just go for all the supercars except for the Aston Martins if you're going to drive them. I think the main purpose of the supercars is to just pretty much show them off in your F1 Life. Don't get me wrong, I do like the way the Aston Martins look, but I think for driving, the other cars are better. As you can see, the top 3 cars don't have any changes yet, but the McLaren model has been updated. These aren't the final models, but they have started making updates. The Alpine's different, AlphaTauri's been updated, and the Aston Martin looks like the old spec before they changed to the Red Bull style. The Haas and the Alfa Romeo has also been updated, and the Williams, Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari are yet to have any changes. This is where you can show off your trophies. There's your multiplayer license for online, and you can also retrieve your stats from that menu as well. Here's the theater where you can look at highlights and replays from your previous races. And here's the AI that I was talking about that will join you in your F1 Life home, and I think you can also check out. Earlier we were racing against Jack Tremblay in the Ferrari at Monza, and here's his setup where you can look at all his decorations and his supercars. A few more things to get through. This is where you get to put your supercars into bays for where you put them on display. And if you go into the brand shop, you can see all the brands from which you can select clothes and merchandise from. Here is the current Bitcoin prices. I don't typically buy these Bitcoins, but here's the daily items from the item shop, and also the podium pass from which you can earn rewards and collect clothing items and other customizations for your driver. There's also now a convert text to voice option. I think that's for multiplayer. And last but not least, I thought I'd showcase what the chrome style look for a metallic paint finish looks like on the game. So here's me just using the multiplayer car with that chrome style finish, and it looks fantastic under the lights, particularly at Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I'm gonna be releasing a whole bunch more, so go check those ones out if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in a brand new one.